Good afternoon, students. Hello, everyone. Today, for today's session, before we get into the new topic or the continuation of the topic, that is types of mixtures, I would like to recapitulate what we have learned before last week. The reason why I am taking a recapitulation is because there was a long gap of 1 week, right? 1 week or 2 weeks. We haven't learned chemistry session. We didn't have chemistry sessions. So I'll take a quick recap so that you understand the concept and there is a flow, isn't it? So to start with recapitulation, what did we learn from the beginning about this chapter? Is matter around us pure? So it was a question, right? Is matter around us pure? So in that we learnt that matter is, you know, that it is something which occupies space and has mass. Everything around us is matter. But the question is it pure? Then I explained to you that you might have heard of words like pure water and pure food. You might have heard of pure air, but then they are not true in terms of chemistry. So pure water, according to a layman's language, is water free from germs, or food may be free from adulterants, pure air may be free from pollutants. But in chemistry, pure means it should be made up of single kind of particles. So what do we mean by single kind of particles? Single kind of particle means a substance is one which is made up of either an element, a single type of element, or a single type of compound. So based on this, pure substances are of two types, that is elements and compounds, right? So giving an example of pure substance, you yourself would tell me that is iron nail is a pure substance. So you have studied about elements in 8th standard. Elements in the periodic table, that is 118 elements are there, 2 are yet to be found out. All those are called as elements. Like you people are called as students when you are together, and each one has an identity. For example, I call Neha, I say Hardik, I say Sanskar, I say Riya. So you have your own identity. Likewise, together they are called as atoms, but their identity, particular identity they have, atoms have, isn't it? Like carbon, hydrogen, helium, neon, argon, chlorine, right? That is called as element. And if a substance is made up of only one particular element among those 118, then that is called a pure substance in chemistry. Now, it can be of two types. Pure substances, I have taught you, can be of two types, that is elements and mixtures. Now elements you understood. What is a compound then? So we, in metals and non-metals, we have learned some chemical reactions. Even in combustion we have learned some chemical reaction, isn't it? Wherein you have seen that metal reacts with water. So metal is sodium. We had put sodium in water. It reacts vigorously, it catches fire, it gives sodium hydroxide with the evolution of hydrogen gas. Now sodium hydroxide, what is the formula? NaOH. There is sodium atom, oxygen atom and hydrogen atom. So that becomes a compound. Why it is called as a compound and not a mixture? It's because they are chemically bonded with each other. So you cannot separate sodium from that of oxygen and oxygen with that of hydrogen just by physical methods like filtration or evaporation, etc. Therefore, compounds also come under pure substance. Example is sodium chloride. Salt, that is table salt, is made up of, it is chemically called sodium chloride. Sodium chloride, you cannot separate them by physical methods into sodium and chlorine. Therefore, elements and compounds are the two types of pure substances. Examples of pure substances under elements include iron, sodium, sulfur, chlorine, any element from the periodic table. And for compound, it may be a combination of substance, like you have seen copper sulfate in the chemistry lab, you have seen sodium chloride, you have sodium chloride, everybody has seen, it's in every house, it's a cooking material, important ingredient of cooking. And you have seen ferrous sulfate, green color crystals in the lab. So there are many metals also which you have seen, like magnesium, you had burnt magnesium ribbon if you remember. So all these come under pure substances. So the next slide is, we now know that if you just analyze the substances around you, the matter around you is almost impure. So rarely substances can be found in their pure state. They are mixed with one another. They always coexist. For example, water contains some minerals in nature, right? We can purify rather. Likewise, everything around us, like it may be salt. Where do we get salt from? We get it from seawater. Seawater is mixture of many other salts, and even water is there along with sodium chloride. So that becomes a mixture. They exist together, but we can purify sodium chloride and use it as common salt for our purpose of cooking or whatever, chemical labs or something like that. Okay. Then we learned about the classification of matter. So in the first chapter, we learned that matter can be classified on the basis of physical states, based on physical properties, into solid, liquid and gas. But this chapter is about the classification of matter based on chemical properties, that is pure substance and mixtures. So mixtures are nothing but impure substances. So you can say that matter is divided into pure substance and impure substance. Okay. So I told you about the meaning of pure just now. Now impure would be what? Which is not pure. Anything which is not made up of single kind of particle, or in other words I can say substance which is made up of two or more kind of particles are called as mixtures or impure substances, right? Yes. So impure substances are also called as mixtures, and they are formed when two or more pure substances combine. When we say two or more pure substances combine, what are they? They should be either elements or compounds which are combining with each other, and they can be easily separated also, because they do not form a compound. When two or more elements or a compound and an element is combined, they do not form chemical bonds. Therefore, they can be easily separated. An example of it is salt dissolved in water. We can easily separate it by evaporation, isn't it? Sand in water, by filtration we can separate it. So, and even sulfur powder, if you in that if you put iron nails, you can separate it by magnetic separation. So that becomes an example of mixtures or impure substances. That is, it is made up of two or more pure substances. Okay. What else we learned? We learned that pure substances are further classified into element and compound. That also I have just explained to you. What are the properties of pure substances? If you see the properties of pure substances, properties of elements, sorry. So I had taken a session to distinguish between elements and compounds. What was that? I told you that elements have a set of properties which differ from that of compounds. What are they? And they have some similar properties also, like that becomes not a differentiating point, but together if I have to list out all the properties of elements, I can say that they are homogeneous in nature. That is, for example, I take iron nail, it looks similar throughout, right? Does it have different texture or different color throughout? Does it have a different appearance? No, because it is made up of same type of atoms, isn't it? That is iron. So we can say that elements are homogeneous in nature, similar. genus generating a similar composition. Homo means similar composition, genus means generating. So, generating similar composition is homogeneous substance. So, now they can, another properties, they cannot be broken into simple substance. I told you that elements are the simplest ones. So, they cannot be further divided into much simpler ones by the different methods, like by heating or by exposing it to sunlight or by passing electricity. We cannot divide them into simpler, much simpler forms. Like if, just imagine I have made a group of 5 students or 6 students, and I have to divide you into 3 more groups, subgroups, then I can take 2 each. And again, if I want to divide each subgroup into further smaller groups, then what would I do? Or further I want to divide, then I have to make you make a group, not a group, individual teams, right, like 1 in 1 team. Then further, after that I cannot further divide you. So, it is something like that. So, elements are individual simplest forms that cannot be further divided. Okay. Likewise, if you take the next property, that is they have sharp melting point. Every substance, every matter has a identity. Therefore, every substance have a characteristic melting point. You have learnt in the first. The next property I was talking about is that they have sharp melting point and boiling point, because they melting point and boiling point are the characteristics of that particular element, and this you have learnt in the previous chapter. You know what is melting point and what is boiling point. We have learnt it in the previous chapter, right? Okay. So, the next properties, so see here you can see some of the utensils which is made up of aluminium. So, they will show a known or a sharp melting point which is already recorded. It will not change because they are pure substances. For pure substances or substance which is made up of a particular element, the melting point and boiling point will not change. Now, another important property, or we know that elements are further divided into metals, non-metals and metalloids. This also I have already taught you people in the previous sessions, isn't it? So, elements, you can see the flow chart which shows that elements are further divided into metals, non-metals and metalloids. Now, let us see what are the properties of metals. That also I have told you very quickly, because it is not not much is to be taught to you other than what you have learnt in your 8th standard about the properties of metals. We have learnt how we can distinguish between a metal and non-metal based on their properties, like lustrous, sonorous, good conductors of electricity, malleable, ductile. Remember malleable, malleable is if a metal can be beaten into thin sheets, that property is called as malleability. Ductility, that is the property to be drawn into thin wires, is called as ductility. Sonorous, that is it can make ringing sound, isn't it? They are good conductors of heat and electricity, isn't it? Metals, almost all metals are solids except one liquid, that is mercury, isn't it? All these we have learnt in your 8th standard, right? You also know the properties of non-metals. So, here you can see in the slide, mercury is in the liquid form, only liquid metal, it is an exception. So, properties of non-metals, some of the examples are shown: iodine, sulfur, phosphorus. So, to compare the property, first property, you know that metals are lustrous, non-metals are usually non-lustrous. What does it mean? They do not shine, except the first example, that is iodine. Iodine is a little shiny, lustrous one, except that all the non-metals are non-lustrous. So, to list out the properties of non-metals, they are non-lustrous, bad conductors of heat and electricity, They are not malleable, not ductile, not sonorous. They exist in all the three states. But to be very frank, I had told you that almost all are in gaseous state. Almost all the non-metals are in gaseous state except iodine, which is a solid, and bromine, which is a liquid. You can see in this slide. So, chlorine and almost all the gases like argon, neon, nitrogen, oxygen, hydrogen, all these are in gaseous state. Iodine is the only solid non-metal and bromine is the only liquid non-metal. So, these are the properties of non-metals. Then you can see metalloids. So, what do you mean by metalloids? I told you that there are certain elements like boron, silicon, germanium, antimony, bismuth, tellurium, polonium, and astatine is not a this thing metalloid, but it is it comes under halogens rather. So, all these are come in between, you know, in the periodic table you can see it is a zigzag line formed between the metals and the non-metals, because they have some properties of metals, some properties of non-metals. Therefore, they are called as semi-metals also. They are called as metalloids or semi-metals. Now, types of pure substances we have already covered, that is basically pure substances can be classified into elements and mixtures, and under elements we have metals, non-metals and metalloids, and next type is compound. Compound also I have told you, it is two or more pure substances combining in a fixed ratio to form a compound, isn't it? Compound is nothing but, no sorry, it is mixture, the definition of mixture. So, what is a compound? A compound is two or more elements combining in a fixed ratio by mass. If two or more elements combine in a fixed ratio by mass, they are called as compounds. And I have explained to you what do you mean by fixed ratio. For example, water. Water always forms by when two atoms of hydrogen combines with one atom of oxygen. So, talking about fixed ratio by mass, we are going to learn in the next chapter that under second law of chemical combination. Let us not go into that now. Okay. So, always like there is something called as atomic mass, which I am going to introduce in the next chapter. So, always these many grams of hydrogen always combine with 8, I mean I will tell you anyways, 1 gram of hydrogen always combines with 8 grams of oxygen to form 9 grams of water. So, there is no there is always a definite ratio of combination, there is no change, never it is like 2 grams of hydrogen combines with 4 grams of oxygen or anything else, it is always a fixed ratio 1:8. Now, you can see the list of properties of a compound. They are homogeneous in nature. Example, water, they have same composition, isn't it? They do not taste different at different places. In a glass, if you take and try to sip it from different corner, does it taste different? No, it has a same composition, especially distilled water it should be. It can be broken down into constituent elements. Why? Because it is made up of 2 or more elements. So, on chemical treatment or by passing electricity, I had already told you while distinguishing between elements and compounds, by chemical treatment or by thermal decomposition, that is heating, or by exposing it into the sunlight, depends on the compound. Not all the compounds split up when exposed to sunlight, some of them do, some of them have you need to heat to decompose it into constituent elements, but they can be converted or broken down into their constituent elements, maybe by different methods. Now, they have a distinct set of properties, like for example, sodium chloride is made up of sodium, a metal, and chlorine, a non-metal. Sodium has a different set of property. If you remember, they are very reactive. It was kept inside, immersed in a kerosene bottle. Do you remember? Or it is coated with a paraffin. What did we do? I just cut it with a knife very carefully and put it into the water. Immediately it caught fire. That is, it is very corrosive and very reactive. Rather, you know that chlorine is a gas, a non-metal, which is not that harmful. but when it has its own property and sodium has its own property. But when they combine to form a salt like sodium chloride, that has a different property, different set of property. That is, a combining element lose their identity when they form a new compound. Okay. So, even these compounds have a sharp melting point. If you remember, we had spoken about melting point of water and boiling point of water, which is always 0 degree and 100 degrees Celsius respectively, right? Yes. So, mixtures, I told you that mixtures are nothing but substances which are made up of two or more pure substances. An example of it is salt and water. It has a uniform composition, isn't it? Salt, you cannot see the salt particles when dissolved in water. So, mixtures are further divided into two types, that is homogeneous and heterogeneous mixtures, which we are going to talk in today's session. Rather, we can say we can see one more example, sulfur and iron filings. Sulfur is a yellow powder which you have seen in the lab, which we had burnt, isn't it, to differentiate between a metal and non-metal reaction chemical property, distinguishing based on chemical property, isn't it? Both can undergo oxidation. Sulfur, on burning, it burns with a blue flame, and we collected the gas in a gas jar and we put blue litmus paper, it turned into red. It shows that oxides of non-metals are acidic. Hope I am successful in memorizing all those we have learnt in the lab. Okay. So, when we mix this iron nail with that of the sulfur powder, it becomes a mixture. You can separate them just by using a magnet, right? But still, I spoke about different types of mixtures other than homogeneous and heterogeneous. Homogeneous and heterogeneous I am yet to take up. I told you, based on the state of matter, constituent substances which are mixed with each other, it can be solid mixture, solid liquid mixture, liquid mixture, liquid gas mixture, gas and gas mixture also, and I had given you examples also. But you can see it in the picture so that it gets into your mind, fixes in your mind. So, you can see the first one, solid and solid mixture, an alloy, that is brass, which is made up of zinc and copper combination. Solid and liquid mixture, that is sugar solution, you can take salt solution also. Liquid, alcohol in water, aerated drinks is an example of liquid gas mixture. Gas and gas is nothing but your air, pure air, which is not pure in terms of chemistry, it is a mixture of many gases. So, pure substance and gas mixtures, these are the differentiating properties. You will be able to differentiate, but just for our own, what do you say, our own benefit, let us distinguish them. Also, you can see the examples for pure substance given there, in which iron, copper, hydrogen, oxygen are elements, and water, sugar, common salt are compounds which come under pure substance again. And mixtures, example, sea water was a mixture of many salts and water, soil, air, sand and salt, salt in water, all these are examples of mixtures. If you see the differences between pure substances, it is very clearly seen and you know it. We have already spoken, so I do not want to drag it a lot. You know that they are made up of pure substances are made up of single kind of particles, whereas mixtures are made up of two or more pure substances. Pure substance cannot be separated by physical methods like filtration, evaporation, whereas mixtures can be separated, or you know that mixtures can be separated by physical methods like filtration, boiling, heating, magnetic separation, etc. Now, pure substance has its own definite properties, I had told you, like they have sharp melting point, boiling point. If it is an element like iron, it is magnetic, it has its own set of property. But in a mixture, it shows the properties of the components. That is, for example, we have mixture of two elements. So, the property of the mixture will include the property of both, for example sulfur powder and iron filings. If you mix it, so the mixture has magnetic property also, and it also has solubility, that is iron cannot be solubilized with carbon disulfide, but sulfur can be dissolved in carbon disulfide. We are going to do the practicals, or I am going to show you some practical video, wherein I can show you how sulfur can be dissolved in carbon disulfide. If we take the mixture of sulfur and iron nail and we put carbon disulfide, you can see iron nail can be easily separated because only sulfur powder gets dissolved in carbon disulfide. Okay, then coming to today's topic, before that, okay, compounds also. So how to